Welcome to the Practicing Drummer podcast. My name is Craig, and in this episode, I've got a conversation with Charles Goold from December of 2025. Charles is a drummer from New York who started gigging at just 11 years old. We cover what it was like growing up on the bandstand, his time with Billy Drummond and Kenny Washington at Juilliard, studying with the incredible Marvin Bugalu Smith, playing with Steve Nelson, Johnny O'Neill, his dad, Ned Gould, and a lot more. Despite being relatively young, Charles has an incredible amount of experience and drops a lot of knowledge in this episode. As always, you can find the show notes on my blog at practicingdrummer.com. And with that, let's get right into it with Charles Goold. All right, Charles. Hey, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Just waking up. Had a fun gig last night at the Django. So.
Oh, nice. Who was that with?
It was with Mark Whitfield and James Genus, playing some of Mark's new music.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we met when you were here in Minnesota playing with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a fun show. It was a free outdoor thing, and you were very nice to say hi afterwards. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting show for sure. I remember sweating a lot.
Oh, yeah, it was hot for sure. It was cool to see you in that setting, too, because I mostly have followed your more like straight ahead stuff, you know, your Smalls gigs and Steve Nelson and stuff with your dad. So it was cool watching you play some more of that pocket stuff and showing some chops in that way.
Yeah, man. It's been a work in progress trying to get more of that playing into my repertoire. It's like, I joke sometimes, it feels like I'm learning a whole new instrument in a way. You kind of like forget how to play.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole different thing. So how do you work on that? Because is that something you are at a level at where you can sort of work on it on the gig, or are you spending time in the shed for stuff like that?
I mean, combination of both. I mean, I've always been that way just my whole life. Like, I've always believed in like trying to play out as much as possible and with people as much as possible. Yeah. Because you shed all this stuff and then you try and bring it to the gig the first couple times and it does not happen, at least for me. And then sometimes you find out the thing you shed doesn't even really work, even if you do pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
So like it always feels better to play with people a lot and then take back what you were thinking in your head. Like, oh, I wish I could have played that, and then shed that when you get back home and then bring it out the next time.
Yeah, that's,
you know?
Yeah, that's really interesting. When I talked to Steve Smith, he talked about that too, kind of learning lessons on the gig, and then some of the most valuable practicing, even if you don't have that same gig coming up, is working on the stuff you messed up on the gig and dialing it in after you have that visceral experience behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, soloing is a lot different too in that kind of in a pocket sense or a pocket environment. You know, it's not like I'm gonna sit and play the melody, you know, and whatever. It's a whole other thing, and it's been really great learning that. And I've actually been lucky enough to be in a wedding band, so I've been doing that I do that, and it's been really solidifying like just my groove and getting to play for dancers every weekend. It's like it's like a crash course, you know.
Oh yeah.
And then the bass drum is a whole other thing.
Oh, you know? Yeah, of course. You mean like laying into it more and
laying into a kick, playing heel up and all that type of stuff. It's just so different than the way I grew up playing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And the wedding band thing makes sense, because I was going to ask you, I saw Instagram, I think it was Instagram reel or something, YouTube reel of you in a tuxedo and singing.
Yeah.
So it must have been a wedding gig, yeah?
Yeah. I was, it's one of my go-to, karaoke songs is New York, New York.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was feeling myself one night, and I asked one of the vocalists to let me sing New York, New York to close out.
Oh, nice, cool. You sound good. Do you sing a lot, or?
Honestly, yeah, I've been trying to sing a lot.
I mean, I know you have your new stuff, like you just put out that Feeling All the Rhythm video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've been trying to sing because I've always been really into production, and I actually played bass in a rock band when I was in high school.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So I've always been into that type of stuff, but then I got to New York after high school, moved back into the city, and I was making these little demos on GarageBand back in like 2008, 2009, and realized like, I should probably concentrate on playing the drums. And so I put that away And then COVID came around and we had all this time. I was like, oh, well, I got all the time in the world. Let me try producing again. And I've been obsessed ever since.
Okay, yeah. I was going to ask you kind of how you dealt with being so great at the drums. You've clearly put your time in, and we'll go back. I want to talk about some of that stuff. But is COVID when you really started to get more of your guitar chops together and start really honing in on playing bass and keys?
Yeah, so basically I started playing bass. Well, I wanted to play guitar, but I was so bad at it I couldn't fit my fingers in all this in between the 6 strings. So I started playing 4 strings, and basically I was in high school, and there was construction being done on my house. So I was staying with my best friend who was a guitarist.
Oh, okay.
So I was living in his house for a couple months, and he was like, yo, I was like, I want to learn guitar, let me try. And I was terrible at it. So I said, let me try the bass. It's only 4 strings.
Yeah.
I figured that'd be easier. And then I found out, I was like, oh, this is like, I love funk music. I've always loved funk my whole life. And I was like, oh, like the bass is like the thing in funk.
Yeah.
And so I just started transcribing all my favorite funk songs.
Oh, nice.
And I kind of never stopped. And that was when I was around 15. And then around 19, I started trying to pick up the guitar. Like once I got like my left hand really together. Mm-hmm. On the bass, it was kind of a little easier to transfer to guitar.
And are you learning by ear, or do you understand where the notes are and the relations and stuff like that? I mean, I know you understand harmony and stuff from your time at Juilliard, but...
Yeah. So, I mean, I started on a saxophone, actually, because I was trying to be like my dad when I was a little kid.
Right.
Was terrible at it. Thought the drums would be easy. Little did I know how difficult the drums are. But through that, I was able to... figure out what the notes are and stuff. And then other than that, I try to play everything by ear. I mean, I always tell people, whether they be a student or whether just somebody who is just picking up an instrument for the first time, like, just learn your favorite songs by ear. That's so much more valuable to me at first than like picking up a book or tabs or something.
Yeah.
Depending on a capo or something like that. Cause it's not, you're just not training yourself the right way. I feel like.
Oh yeah, I get it. I was that way too. So my early drum teacher basically gave me a sheet of beats for different styles, and one of them was a jazz ride cymbal pattern, but did not have me listening to music or anything, so it didn't mean anything to me.
Exactly, yeah. So working out of a book right off the bat, I feel like that's just like the antithesis of music.
Yeah. So let's go back and talk about your development as a drummer, because you started early. I know. And we've got to circle around to some of this at some point. Let me just state here first, your dad is the saxophonist Ned Goold. Mm-hmm. Great sax player, such a unique artist. His solo music is incredible, and you're on a lot of that. You've played with him since you were, 11, 12?
Yeah, I would say I first started playing with him at Smalls when I was 14.
Incredible. Okay, we've got to go back and kind of get to how you got to be good enough to do that. Also, just want to quickly state that your dad played with Harry Connick Jr. Mm-hmm. So you were around that scene, and I'm sure you got to see Shannon Powell a whole bunch.
Yep.
So when did you actually start playing the drums? And can you talk to me about the very early development of when you could barely play to kind of coming into being able to play and being able to be good enough to hang?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, like I said, I started on saxophone, but again, I was always at my dad's gigs and rehearsals and stuff like that. So naturally, as a little kid, you're going to gravitate towards the drums because it's like you're hitting it with a stick and it makes a sound right away.
Instant gratification.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's also the quickest way you get to play with your dad is by hopping on the drums, right? I'm not going to be able to play bass or play rhythm changes on piano or something like that at 7 years old, right? So I think that was like the initial... I mean, for sure, that's how I got into it. Ben Wolf taught me a paradiddle.
Oh, the bass player?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
He's my godfather.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I kind of started going crazy with that, and
so you just have a pad, or just?
Yeah, I had a pad, and then was working out a stick control, and this was like. Then we moved to New York. Was born in New York. We moved to Maryland for a little while, and then when I moved back around 11, I was able to get a drum set, and so then I took my first lesson with Phil Stewart. He came over and showed me some stuff on the kit.
Oh, cool.
And then I took one as well with Rodney Green.
Oh, nice.
He gave me a lesson and my first cymbal. And then after that, I was really lucky. My dad he never did this, but yeah, my dad he started getting me lessons with Leroy Williams, who was Barry Harris's drummer for 50 years.
What did you get into with him, and what was the structure of the lessons and the practicing like?
Yeah, so it was great. I would go to his house. For the most part, we would work out of the syncopation book. He would just give me 1 bar a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
1 bar a week out of syncopation to learn the independence between the left hand and the ride cymbal.
Yeah.
And the hi-hat, whatever. We would do that, and maybe, I mean, I can't remember how much like hand rudiments type stuff we were doing, but it was mainly we were just playing, right? So I would bring that bar, I would get it together, I would get the independence down. Then I would play it, and then he would solo on another pad on top while I was playing, kind of trying to distract me to see if I really had it down.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then he would sit at the drums and just solo for like 20 minutes. And then I'd get on the drums and just try and do what he did.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so I would just stand over his shoulder and just watch him. And he would just play for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then I'd get on the drums and try to do the same thing. And so like I still to this day, I feel like my feel and sound and kind of mentality comes from him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that kind of brings up something. I have a note here too that I wanted to ask you about, because you do a lot of extended, longer drum solos, and you seem very comfortable with that. Does that come from that time with Leroy, where you would just watch him play for 20 and you'd play longer solos? And
I don't think it comes from that. I would definitely say just like my feel and like my understanding of where to like the space between eighth notes. You know what I mean? Just like it's kind of a lost sound in the jazz world now. The way older drummers, because I was around Leroy, I was studying with him, and then when I was 14, I was playing at Smalls, like I said.
Yeah.
And then by 16, I was already doing gigs outside of my dad and going into the city and playing at places like Fat Cat. I would travel up to Smoke when they used to have jam sessions. I used to go to the Lennox Lounge.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to I used to sneak into St. Nick's Pub.
Oh, cool.
And so the older drummers that used to be around, like Jimmy Wormworth, I took some lessons with, and Billy Kay. Billy Kay was one of New York's finest. He played with Thelonious Monk and Charlie Parker back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And he's the drummer on Sugar, Stanley Turrentine. He was with Stanley Turrentine for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, they just have, the older drummers just have this really wide beat and way of playing, especially like in the bebop style, that you don't hear anymore now. Everything's very metronomically perfect now, and like the beat, everybody's beat is a lot tighter, right? So, and then I also got to be around Jimmy Lovelace as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he used to play with my dad, so I would see him a lot.
Okay.
So between those 4 guys as a kid, that was what I was hearing. To me, that was jazz. You know what I mean? Like just the way that their beat felt. You know, it's like a really wide beat. It's like almost like New Orleans comping between the left hand and right foot with a ride cymbal on top of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it doesn't repeat. You know, you're just constantly swelling, but the beat is really wide. It's not this super metronomically correct kind of thing. It's like a swung straight. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just a sound that all the older drummers had, you know, and it's kind of lost, but I still like to try and have that in my comping and playing.
Well, and I hear it in your playing. Actually, one of the notes I have here is from Martina da Silva. Yeah, Martina da Silva record where you're playing brushes on Wrap Your Troubles in a Dream. Slower tune, but your groove on that, I wrote down that my note just says, reminds me of New Orleans drummers. And so it makes a lot of sense that you were brought up around those guys that play with that wider feel.
The wider feel, yeah. And so you brought up Shannon Powell. So my dad was with Harry Connick for 20 years. Yeah. And for spring break, when me and my brother were in high school, we would go to New Orleans for Jazz Fest every year.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And so my dad knew all the guys from the Harry band. And so we would go to Jazz Fest during the day, and then either at night or other days, we would go and see some of the musicians from the Harry band play at like Preservation Hall.
Oh, sure.
Palm Court. So I got to hang with Shannon a lot during that time as well, and really hear real second line.
Oh, yeah. Did he ever show you stuff? Not
really. I would just sit next to the drums and watch him, you know? You kind of just watch and you hear what they play and you try to emulate it. He let me sit in, you know, and wow. You're right on the hot seat.
Oof,
you got to play what you just heard.
Was that with Harry Connick or at Preservation Hall?
I sat in one time with the Harry Connick band, but at Soundcheck. I never.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I played on stage one time actually. Yeah, I sat in one time. I think I was like 12 or something.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but again, so like I was saying earlier with Leroy, I mean, I guess now I have some chops, but back then I was a little content or informed to really, really concentrate just on timekeeping.
Okay.
Right? So I really was really only concerned with just playing ride cymbal and hi-hat. Almost played no fills. Like I didn't really start playing fills till I was like 16, 17.
Oh, interesting.
I was pretty much only just playing ride cymbal and hi-hat. Like that was just the only thing I was concentrating on. I might have been a little complacent and content. Like everyone's like, telling me I sound good. I was like, oh, well, I sound good. Well, I don't have to, So I was a little bit lackadaisical with that and being around older people. So I wasn't watching other kids kind of chop out and whoop me like that. So I thought I was good. But yeah, I was really just into time feel and timekeeping like that, which for better, for worse. And then when I ended up going to Berkeley.
Yes. Yeah.
That's when I first started hearing people my own age really chop out. And I was like, oh, wow.
Okay, yeah.
I have a lot of work to do.
How did you approach that then with getting some more vocabulary together with fills and soloing?
Yeah, so basically I really was trying to really work on my rudiments and stuff. And when I was at Berkeley, I got to meet more like kind of drummers on the gospel side. That's when like gospel chops was really first coming to fruition back then. So like I didn't really start learning that vocabulary, but just being aware of it and knowing what was out there. It's like, okay, I need to really up my linear type playing. I need to get my bass drum together because I couldn't even play a double on a bass drum till around, till that time, basically.
Okay.
I'm still dealing with it, honestly, but I guess we never stopped dealing with the right foot. But so I don't know if I skipped ahead or anything, but
no, that's all good. I mean, and obviously focusing on timekeeping is hugely important, and that's what allows drummers to keep a gig. Honestly, that's what you are doing most of the time. And you said you started playing gigs from the age of
14.
Yeah, geez.
Well, really 11. My first gig was at 11. I got to we would go to Arturo's in the West Village. I don't know if you know that spot.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great Italian restaurant, and they have trios in there that play all day. But I don't even know how it happened, but I played with Harry Whitaker for a whole year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I would just sit and just play brushes on the snare drum, nothing else, with Harry Whitaker for like 5 hours.
No kidding. At 11?
Every Sunday. At 11 years old, yeah,
what?
Every Sunday.
So your dad go with you, or how did that all? Okay.
Yeah. We would all go in to the city from Jersey, and I'd get some of the tips and a pizza. And at 11 years old, that's, incredible. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Again, further just putting the time feel in. I wasn't, because all I had was a snare drum.
Well, yeah. And that experience on the brushes, incredible.
Yeah.
Your brush playing is incredible.
Thanks.
I mean, you've basically, what I think of as almost like a brush feature on both of your albums.
Yeah, no, it totally is. Right? I'm like kind of trying to, I guess I'm skipping ahead, but I'm paying homage to Kenny Washington with that.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I know you also went to Juilliard, studied with Kenny, and studied with Billy Drummond. So I don't want to lump those guys in together because I know they're very different. So can you talk, I just want to separate those out and maybe just give a few minutes on each guy and what you got from them. Billy Drummond, it's no secret to anybody that's listened to this, is one of my favorite drummers of all time. I absolutely am obsessed with his playing. And, of course, love Kenny Washington, too. So can you talk about what you got from those guys, what they had you working on, and what that was like?
Yeah, so I'll preface, before I got to Juilliard, I was already working. I was playing with, I was working a lot. People even asked me, like, why I was even going to Juilliard. But I was seeing a ceiling for myself, both musically and network-wise, and I wanted to learn how to read a little better, and I wanted to learn how to write. But I also, everybody I watched who came out of that school had amazing hands and touch, right?
Yes.
And so people like Pete Van Nostrand, Aaron Kimmel, Luca Santaniello, I just look at their hands and I just be like, what is that sound? How do you get that? So Rodney Green as well, obviously. So basically, I got there and they really just polished up my sound and tone. So playing with Billy, he's so free on the kit. He's got so much of the modern thing, together. He's played with everybody, So he would have me work on my touch a lot. He'd have me do, I transcribed some Tony and some Al Foster with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and again, he was really having me work on my touch a lot and thinking about sound a lot more as well.
And what did that
And
look like practically for you? Like what did you work on?
well, I mean, all right, you want to get into the weeds of just like
Yeah.
it was basic. All right, so basically, the one I still practice to this day, I kind of went a little crazy with it, but basically, transferring between 16th notes into 16th note triplets, right? Or I guess however you want to call it. So if I'm here, right, so da 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 da. I can't.
Yeah, I got you.
Scat at that. Right. So you start in singles, then doubles, then a single paradiddle, right? Da 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 da, and you make them all sound even, right? No accents, and then you take it up to the next permutation, right? And that's double paradiddle. So you're going from a single paradiddle and 16th notes up to 16th note triplet double paradiddles, then a paradiddle diddle, then singles, then back down, right? And I was just getting everything even, right? No accents, and it seems easy, but it's so hard. I don't know why. And so then I would do it with my hands. Then I started doing it around the kit, just moving my hands randomly, right? Trying to just seeing how fast I could go with it and seeing how quiet I could go with it. Then I started saying, okay, let me add my bass drum now, and started trying to do and just started moving that around the kit, and then see if I could do it with the hi-hat going on 2 and 4 as well while doing that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it's still tough, but the thing I really learned from both him and K-Wash was like, even if when you're practicing something, even if it sounds or seems a little nonsensical, you never know how it's going to come out, and you're playing in other ways, right?
Yeah.
So just doing that, I don't get limited by dynamics as far as what I can play. You know what I mean? Whereas I see in a lot of drummers, it's like if they're playing a restaurant gig, they're gonna play half of their stuff because they can't play it at a quiet level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just trying to play a double on a bass drum at restaurant music level is not easy, right?
Well,
so
and it's hard to keep the intensity up too,
and keep the intensity
at a lower volume.
Exactly. It's like the bane of a drummer's existence is having to play real quiet and not boring. You know, so that really helped with that. And like me and Billy, we would listen to a lot of records. You'd have me play along to records. He would have me listen to the relationships between drummers and bass players. You know, it was really helpful. And he also was expressing the importance to me about like building relationships with people, not just learning heady drum stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. And he had me like write an essay about Lewis Nash and go meet him and like stuff like that. And it was really kind of had an impact on me. I was like, oh man, like I've definitely been narrow-minded, you know, with certain things like that. And you know, I think that comes with, you know, just being older and being experienced and realizing like we're still life here. You know, music is music, but it's more about, you know, being a good person, right?
Yeah, for sure. And how about Kenny? Was it more handwork and brushes or?
Very much handwork, yeah. Very much Will Coxon.
Yep.
You know, famously. And doing that. And I mean, I'm sure someone has talked to you about that already, right? His method. I'm sure Hank talked about it, right? So you know the method of doing it, where you're playing these Will Coxon solos and it's unaccented as quietly as, for me, I was doing it as quietly as possible and then accented really loud, and then using all wrist, and going at, you know, pretty brisk tempos. But he would make me do this Will Coxon stuff. He would always go bar by bar. Right?
Yeah.
You got to do it bar by bar, and just getting like trying to play these flam taps and flammacues and stuff like that, all wrist, and really accentuate all that stuff. It really just hooks up your hands. I call it like get out of jail free, like Monopoly, right? Because you get stuck playing something you're improvising in, and you've got all this foundation in your wrist from having done all these Will Coxon things that you're able to muscle out a lot more. And you're not limited by what your hands can do. You can really just play what you're thinking in your head, right? And just getting that foundation of the wrists. And then, so I did everything he asked, and I would do it like painfully slow and sometimes too slow. There was one time I was in a lesson with him. Both Billy and K-Wash used to mess with me a lot. Billy used to call me Count Gigula because I'd always be coming in from a gig. So every time he see me, he would put up his arm and say, the count, or whatever. And he'd always mess with me about my cymbals and stuff. And then K-Wash one time, he would always say, Mr. Goold, get up on the stool, Mr. Goold. He'd always mess with my last name. But there was one time I was playing a Wilcoxon solo for him, and at the end of it, he goes, Mr. Goold, and he wouldn't watch you. He would like turn his back. You know, it was like almost like a movie, turn his back, so I guess he could just only listen. And he said to me, Mr. Goold, that snare drum solo you just played had no mayonnaise, no mustard, no salt and pepper, no flavor whatsoever to it. And I just started dying laughing, man, because I guess I was playing it so straight, and just flat, but I was trying so hard to just have my wrists, you know, control the unaccented notes or whatever, that I was playing it really slow and mechanical. But you know, those guys didn't mess around, man. They were very serious, and it just made me be serious. And I still do these exercises to this day. I feel I want to say I've graduated from the Wilcox and stuff, but now I teach it at the University of Hartford, and I try and play it back for my students. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how hard this stuff is.
Yeah.
I gotta keep playing it.
Yeah, and working from the wrist like that too really helps out your brush playing.
That as well, absolutely.
Yeah, and your brush chops are ridiculous. So I'll put links in the show notes to both those tracks from your albums and some videos I've found too of your brush playing. Amazing. Again,
that's something I got from K-Wash, because we would have this at Juilliard. We'd have a rhythm section class, which was really cool. We'd be with Frank Kimbrough, the late great Frank Kimbrough, and K-Wash, and we would just play tunes. And K-Wash would be the bad cop, and Frank would be the good cop, right? Mm-hmm. And then K-Wash would be the drill sergeant, and Frank would be kind of the hippie. So you got both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Like K-Wash would want you to play everything exactly right, and then Frank would be like, "Why are you playing all that stiff stuff?" Right? So you got pulled both sides by these guys. It was really amazing. And these small classrooms, you learn how to play quietly too. You know, you really learn how to play quietly, and just having a balance between all the limbs is so difficult on the drums, to really be able to have your bass drum be under the brushes. You know what I mean? Like really be under the upright bass, you know, without an amp, you know, and a piano, you know what I'm saying? So an acoustic piano. So we got that together, and like a really cool, I guess you're not putting the video out, but the way he would show me how to play the brush is you're not letting the brush die into the head, right? You're kind of, you know, like when you take a brush and you like flick it and then you bring it back, you can hear the kind of the air, the sound of the air, right? You're trying to achieve that on every stroke, so that when you hit the head of the drum, it gets a full sound, and it's articulate and tight, and it doesn't go just it's like this. So you're getting clear articulation for every stroke, right?
Like a snap or a whip almost.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm basically whipping every stroke if I'm soloing on the brushes. There's times where I'll slap the brush into the head, obviously.
Sure.
And there's times where, especially if I'm playing like a medium tempo, like a walking ballad or a kind of medium tempo, I don't like to go unless I'm trying to be real cute, right? If it's like a real cute tune, like T for Two or something like that, then you can do that, you know, like a little. But if it's like kind of like a walking ballad or a slow kind of thing, I like to do all these different techniques, but I will like sweep. So it's like, so I'm getting the articulation and the sweep with both hands. So like I teach my kids, like, you got to be able to make the band swing with just your left hand on brushes first, making that quarter note swing, the sweep with your left hand, right? Just that, you should be able to hear like a nice semblance of the time. Then you add your right hand, because if that left hand is just kind of doing whatever because you've seen people do it and you're like, oh yeah, it's supposed to move around. No, it's got to be, because you need that left hand to swing so that you can fill with your right hand, accentuate your right hand, and so you can switch to the sticks, because the left hand's holding the fort while you switch from your right hand to the right cymbal, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
You know, and people do it counterclockwise or clockwise. I change depending on the tempo.
Yeah, what's your method for the different tempos?
Yeah, so anything like under here, I'm going counterclockwise, because for some reason I just find it easier to push to get the time when it's slower.
Yes.
Anything above that, I'm going clockwise because I need my left hand for fills. Anything under here, I don't really need my left hand for fills. that much, right? And anything above, I need it so that when you're going clockwise, it's much easier to continue the motion, continue the circular motion within. So like the left hand can play the fill and then keep it going, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really do that if you're going clockwise, right?
Yeah, some guys can, but I find it much harder.
Yeah, I don't like playing like this.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm coming, you know what I mean? My left hand can still play a supporting diddle or stroke and get right back to the left hand motion.
Yep.
Right? But I don't think you don't really need it at certain tempos. You don't need your left hand that much to play.
Especially on ballads, I find counterclockwise you can get much smoother pulse.
Yeah, the whole head. Yeah. But you want that brush covering the whole head because it's representing that left hand is like your only sustain, right? That's the symbol. That's the roar of the symbol is your left hand there. So you kind of really can't be lackadaisical.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I stress that to everybody. My students get really annoyed with me about that. But
are you going up to? So are you said you mentioned you're teaching at Hartford. Are you going up there a lot?
School. Or I go there once a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I teach. I've got 4 jazz students and 3 commercial students. So that's another thing I've been having to. With the pocket stuff, I'm having to teach pocket now.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, how do I, get this across? How do I break these guys out of their classic rock background, and so just trying to show them a bunch of different types of music. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one other huge influence on my playing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of him, but Marvin Bugalu Smith.
Absolutely. I love Marvin Bugalu Smith.
Yeah.
His playing is just absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the greatest. I mean, honestly, he's on another level.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. And it's crazy how unsung he is.
It really is.
But I saw him one time at Fat Cat playing with George Braith, and again, I've been hearing all these really clean, super tight drummers in New York, and I was just trying to get myself on that level and everything. And then in comes Bugalu one time playing that old school wide big sound and wide beat, and then playing all this next stratosphere Elvin Jones inspired stuff that was just incredible. I had never heard anything like it. I still haven't heard anybody like it.
I know.
And so I just after I heard him, I said I have to do this. I have to if he was willing to teach me, I got to study with him. So I used to go up about maybe once a month. I would take the Metro North up to Poughkeepsie. Anybody in the New York area knows how far that is, especially taking the train at 21 years old, 22 years old. Yeah, and I would just go to his house, hang out all day, and we would just play. And he really, really, really got me out of that boxy bebop thing. I still play pretty tight and pretty, I would say, conservative a lot of times, but playing with him absolutely, completely changed my life, really, and just completely opened up my playing, my thinking, my limbs, my spirit, the way I think about music. So my whole goal was all right, I want to be Marvin Bugalu Smith at half the volume.
Yeah, okay.
That was after meeting him, that was my whole goal, and I think I'm getting pretty close. And then I've kind of veered and taken his stuff, and I hope I'm coming up with my own style now,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he was very again, like I said, changed my life.
I mean, I can't even imagine what studying with him was like, and I can't imagine that lessons were like anything you could imagine with a more formal teacher. But is it possible for you to articulate a little bit of how you worked with him and how it morphed over time?
Yeah, so it was much more similar to, well, again, when I've always been used to, I grew up, as you could tell, I grew up, learning at the gig, at the space, not in schools. I went to Berkeley for 1 semester at 19 and then went to Juilliard at 25. Other than that, I had never really done jazz camps or jazz school or really formal, at least on the drums, anything like it. It was always at my dad's gigs or once I was old enough, me going out to see people.
Yeah.
Right? Always. So again, Bugalu was extremely, it's not a regimented thing, you know what I mean? But he would give me exercises to open up my playing, but it was very much similar to Leroy where, all right, we go through our little exercise, we go through our thing, and then it's time to just play. And he's not sugarcoating things. He's not taking it easy on me. You know what I mean? Like we're expected to do now. And, you know, if you have the right attitude, you want to get up to their level. You know what I mean? It hurts when you get criticized, but you take it on the chin, you take it to heart, and you try to get to the next person's level. You don't wilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he would just play the snot out of the drums and then get up, hand me the sticks, and be like, now you go. Now you do it. And then I wouldn't do it. I'd try my best, and he would keep coming at me, right? It was just you put up or shut up, basically. And so I could give you I'll give you the first example of the lesson, right? Because what's a really common thing, we all do it, is you watch a bebop drummer or you watch a jazz drummer, and the left hand never leaves the snare drum, right?
Yeah.
Got that little T-Rex arm, and it's just staying there, and it's just chattering away, playing with no conviction, not really doing it. So first thing he had me do was just play quarter notes on the ride cymbal and made me play the second and third partial of the triplet around the drums. Just my left hand.
Yeah, okay.
Clockwise, counterclockwise, right? Just to get that idea of getting my left hand off of that snare drum, right? And then add the bass drum on with the quarter note on the cymbal. Right? So now I'm now I'm really getting this concept of getting my left hand out of that stuck on the snare drum T-Rex mode, right?
Yeah.
And then getting that rhythm we all love, you know, that Elvin really brought to the forefront, that same thing. Now my right hand comes off the cymbal, and I'm doing the same thing, and I'm moving around, just kick right, left, right, whatever, all around the kit, right? And then getting the same thing, but including the ride cymbal now, but getting that same sound. So it's basically you're coming off the cymbal. It would be essentially kick and right hand at the same time on the cymbal, and it would be a kind of like a right, left with the kick on the first stroke, right? But now your hand is coming off the cymbal and hitting one of the hitting a surface, right? So now the rest of the band can hear your ride cymbal on the quarter notes or somewhere in time, and you're also getting to hit all the surfaces of the drums, right? So it sounds like you're doing this huge fill while keeping your ride cymbal going, right?
Yeah.
And so I just took that concept and went crazy with it. And I'm trying to write a book, about just with every little thing I've come up with that concept of always having the ride cymbal have some type of presence within all these different fills. So I've come up with a bunch of 3s, a bunch of 4s, groupings, 5 groupings, 6 groupings, 7 groupings, 8 groupings, and doing it with flams, doing it with the bass drum with the cymbal, bass drum against the cymbal, all a double going into the cymbal, then working it out where you're able to do it on the anticipation, like the Anna 4 or whatever.
Oh, sure.
So just trying to work out the entire grid like that. Ambient, keep the hi-hat going, right?
Yeah.
And so once you do that, now when you're playing in a band, the air in the sound doesn't just die as soon as you come off the cymbal to do your little fill.
Yeah, right.
And that's what always happens when you hear, especially beginning jazz drummers, they come off, they want to do their fill, and they always do it on the fourth bar rather than the eighth, and it's all the air all the time just gets sucked out of the room because they're coming off the cymbal to play their little fill. With this method, you're able to continuously play rhythms and do all this stuff with the cymbal never leaving.
Oh, I love it. I hope that book comes out.
Yeah, I gotta get it together. I gotta stop being lazy. But no, I need to write it so I can have something to show my students, because they don't understand. They're like, why am I learning this, Professor Goold? I'm like, trust me. But yeah, so that's like the technical weeds of it. But just watching Bugalu play, and the way he would teach you to just let go and just think, I don't think I've gone far enough with it, but the way he just lets go and the way he plays free and the spirit he brings to the music is just unmatched, man. And it's just to me, it's like the essence of playing drums.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I first heard him. I know the sax player Teodros Avery. He's out in LA, but he came to New York and he did some projects with Marvin. So that was the first time I heard him. And I'm honestly, it's one of the biggest moments in my life as a musician anyway. Just blew me away.
Yeah.
It shook up everything I thought about drumming.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's sad, the way jazz drums are approached in schools, and just the way it's almost looked at as like polite classical music now, and it's not the case at all. You know, it's really intense. You know, it's almost like punk or something. It's an intense music. You know, it's like the original thing. It's, you know, it's very spirited. It's like, and it just breaks my heart that it's played like elevator music now, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll put some links to videos of Marvin in the show notes too. If you don't check out anything else, check out Marvin.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other guys I mentioned are all pretty well known and famous.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
You know, I'll shout out. I feel bad that I don't have one of Billy Kay, but there's a great video, ton of great stuff of Leroy with Barry Harris, right? Jimmy Lovelace, if you guys don't know on there, there's an amazing video of him with Wes Montgomery on YouTube. It's some of the most swinging stuff ever. Jimmy Wormworth played with Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. There's some great videos of him in the 60s as a young man. Billy Kay again. His proudest moment probably isn't Sugar, but he's the guy on that album. So check him out there and see if you can find him. Marvin Bugalu Smith played with Archie Shepp and Sun Ra, famously.
Right.
So there's great stuff there. So I'm just trying to throw some shout outs for the guys. Billy and K-Wash have been on everything, so that's not hard to find.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to my guys there. And so I'll do a little shameless plug.
Yeah.
I would say Bugalu's most serious and thorough student, and you know, his name's Ethan Kogan. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I've met him.
Incredible.
Yeah, we text sometimes. He's a super cool guy, great drummer.
Incredible drummer, incredible person. We when I first opened my recording studio last year around Christmas, the first thing I wanted to do was record Bugalu. So we had 2 days where me, Ethan, and Bugalu we just recorded at my studio and traded and stuff. So I've got a bunch of footage that I still haven't put on YouTube yet, but that'll be coming out.
Oh, wow.
We were having a good time, so it's not all appropriate for YouTube.
Sure.
But the drumming is very inappropriate and awesome. So you'll get to see Bugalu and Ethan and me playing, and you can kind of see how he affected us.
Oh, you know? Good. I've got to see that. Yeah, I want to talk to Ethan as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of want to switch away from all the... It's hard to, because I love talking about this stuff, but we can switch away from the teachers and the nerdy drum stuff. I want to talk a little bit about your experience playing through your teens and 20s, and then, of course, your solo projects.
Great.
Let's just start with what gigging was like for you as a younger guy, as a teenager. You know, you talked about playing at the Arturo's, right? The snare drum.
That was my first one.
Yep. And then I know you gigged a lot with your dad.
Yeah.
What was
Sorry,
that?
I can't believe I haven't even mentioned him yet.
No, it's all good. We talked about him a little, right? Mentioned Harry Connick and stuff like that. But as far as playing with him, I'm kind of curious to hear about that and what that was like for you as a kid, and then maybe your perspective on it now, looking back as an adult. I have to imagine that it was very... Well, maybe I shouldn't even imagine. I shouldn't put words in your mouth. But was it comfortable playing with your dad? Did you feel pressure? Or because you now have the experience where you can compare it to playing with people like Steve Nelson and Johnny O'Neill and people that aren't family. So what was it like playing with your dad?
I didn't get to talk about them either. So, yeah, I mean, it was actually, I would say, not enough pressure. I think he was too encouraging. I think he was too nice, honestly. But it was amazing, you know. And the thing is about my dad, everyone always talks about, you know, his incredible harmonic concepts and all that, and his tone and tunes, but it's actually his time feel is unbelievable, you know. And so getting to play with him weekly, sometimes more than once a week. We played every week at Smalls when I was 14.
Yeah.
So I got to do for about a year or two at least. And that was incredible, getting to open for all these incredible drummers coming to Smalls. It was good and bad because when you grow up on the jazz scene, people still think of you as, oh, little Charles, you know.
Ned's kid.
They hear you when you're sad, Ned's kid, all that.
Yeah.
But getting to do that, getting to play his tunes and getting to solidify my time feel so much with him and his tune, because it's all about the feel of my dad, right? And it's all about a snap and hi-hat and it just swinging, right? And he plays a lot of hard tempos. My dad's a huge fan of Thelonious Monk. So a lot of those Thelonious Monk tempos, especially from the band with Ben Riley, Frankie Dunlop, and Charlie Rouse. Those tempos are real kind of in between kind of tempos, right?
Yep.
So you really got to be funky. And those bands, we used to just listen to those Monk bands just constantly in the car. Listen to Bird all the time with him, and I would just rifle through all his tape cassettes, and I'd rifle through all his records and stuff. I was just kind of obsessed with it. But again, it was like, first I got to just really get my time feel together. He's insane for allowing his 14-year-old son to be in his band, but I'm grateful he let me do it and get all those reps in and get to play and meet all these people. And then I recorded an album when I think at that age, 14, 15.
Yeah.
March of the Malcontents. I can't listen to it now because it's just like, dude, I was so young.
Sure.
But again, it was like he gave me every opportunity in the world that he could, and it's amazing. And then we had a gig at Fat Cat, and we did the jam session there for 17 years, I'd say.
Oh,
maybe
my goodness.
15 years every Wednesday from I was around age 17. Oh, my math is terrible. So age 17 till I was 30. So we did it for 13 years. All the way up until COVID, we did it every Wednesday.
Wild.
And so talk about getting to build a band sound, right?
No kidding.
So not only that, I got to test out everything I ever wanted to try playing with him, right?
Did you feel a little more free because it was your dad and you were like, oh, if I mess up, it's my dad and it's not?
Absolutely. And he wanted me to do stuff. And I'm never going to lose the time, really, right? Yep. So I'm always going to, but everything that Bugalu was showing me, K was showing me, Billy Drummond was showing me, I got to test it out with my dad on his music, So it's, literally, it's like my whole thing, it was, is where I got to test everything out, basically, and just become a person.
Did you were you recording yourself and listening back, or was it all just the experience and feeling it in the moment? And then
I would record myself. Not enough probably,
okay.
But I would record myself. My dad actually released if you go into his Bandcamp, he like put out something that we did in like 2013 or something, like 2012.
Yeah, the Fat Cat Volume 1 and 2.
That's from like 2012 or something like that, 2013. I remember listening back to it. I was like, man, I'm still playing the same stuff 10 years later.
It sounds good. I was just listening to it before we jumped on here. It sounds good. I love the sonic quality of those types of recordings too, because you feel the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all the dynamics. It's not so controlled.
I agree, man. I agree. I'm dealing with that now with my recording studio, trying to figure out what kind of sound I want to get in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, just getting to groove with him like that and having a space where I could be comfortable to try all this stuff out. And just to, the amount of tunes I learned from him, being around him.
Oh, and for so many years, yeah.
Yeah, and like just his melodic quality too is just infuse itself with both me and my brother. My brother's got an amazing band, kind of more of a pop thing that he writes for and stuff. My brother plays keys.
Oh, cool.
And it's just like, we learned so many tunes and melodies through my dad growing up without even realizing it. He's always he's just a waterfall of information, encyclopedia.
Yeah, it's amazing. And hearing you talk about the tricky tempos that he played and all the Monk influence, that actually puts some of your playing in better context for me. One thing I noticed a lot in your playing, but when I watch you with Steve Nelson, and specifically one of the gigs I watched with Steve Nelson just from November, I think. I think the first tune you all played was some kind of slower blues. Pretty slow tempo blues. Anyway, you ended up trading on it, and then Steve had to fix his vibraphone or something, so he's down on the floor fixing it, and then you just ended up taking, chorus or two.
That is a tough tempo for a drummer.
It is a tough tempo, but your groove and your vocabulary were it was all just so impressive to me. So it all makes sense that you had all of that time with your dad.
Yeah, my dad will play 3 tunes in a row at that tempo. He's not concerned with the audience. He's just playing what he wants to play, and so a lot of tunes at tough tempos for sure.
So was that something that you found a way to work on off of the gig? With a slower metronome or play along with slower tunes to get that kind of vocabulary together while keeping the time and groove so solid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, I practiced a lot, but like you asked me about playing as a teenager in early 20s, I took every single gig humanly possible that I could. And if I wasn't gigging, I was busking. right? So always just playing and practicing on the gig, and like even if it's just one little thing, like all right, I'm just gonna try and do this one thing throughout this 3-hour, 4-hour restaurant gig, and no one's listening to us on. I'm gonna get this down and do it with people, right? And I play with a lot of vocalists as well, and they're not trying to do a lot of fast tunes, right?
Fair.
And my dad used to tell me when I was a little kid, it's like, yeah, don't wait to hear somebody breathe before playing a fill, before even doing a comp. Like let's listen to this horn player, and just hit the snare or just tap when you hear him breathe, fill that space in. So it really makes you listen.
Yes.
And all the cool stuff you learn in the book, probably won't work all the time. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of like you kind of have to just be in the moment to see what actually works. But if we really want to get nerdy about it, yeah, going slow, put the metronome on and have the metronome be on 2 and 4 and try and work out your stuff there with that hi-hat, keeping the hi-hat going. So any type of fancy thing you get, keep it with the hi-hat going first and a really strong ride cymbal. And then once you get that, then you can kind of forget about the hi-hat on the gig,
Yeah.
Because it can sound really boxy, but you want to have the ability to do it because you always want to be able to stretch the time, stretch the stratosphere, stretch the people's brains or whatever, build the tension. But when you come back in, the time has to be stronger than it was before you started the other thing. Because if you don't have killing time when you come back from that tension, all the tension meant nothing.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, Steve loves to play those kind of those rough tempos, and so I just try to, like I said before, that space, that big space of the eighth note. When you play that slow tempo, it's really hard to feel all that space, right, and then give weight to like a ska boom, right, ska boom, ska boom. Right? Being able to stretch the time and really, that's what I learned from all these older drummers. That's the way they play.
Yeah.
like
Phrasing.
really
Thinking
being able to just
phrasing and not just the grid.
Exactly. Phrasing and just like honestly just swag. Just putting some stank, on for lack of a better term, right? And so if I were ska boom, I would learn how to do it first with the metronome 2 and 4. I'd get it real lame with no mayonnaise, mustard, or salt and pepper, right?
Yeah.
Or relish in there. And then I would be like, okay, now I got it. Now I have to put a feel to it. You don't have it till there's a feel in the exercise, right? Am I right? And I gotta be able to do it where I can concentrate on the ride cymbal and I'm playing it, or I'm concentrating on my hi-hat and I'm playing it, or I'm concentrating on just my left hand and I'm playing it, where I can separate my brain. That's when you've got it, when you can separate your brain, and then I can think about something else. Like you got to be able to hear all that at the same time, know where you are in the form, all these types of things. So when I practice, I try to replicate that, like that great Max Roach exercise where you're playing rhythm with all 4 limbs, and then one by one you raise the volume of just one limb and come back down. Right. Yeah. So that kind of thing where you're able to separate your brain and really make those rhythms pop, right? That's the articulation, and just the really being the conviction of the fill you're gonna play, or the comping you're doing.
Yeah.
And I wish I could talk. I mean, I could talk your ear off,
No, I know. That's kind of what I'm struggling with in my mind here too, because I feel like we could go for another hour or more, but maybe we can do a part 2 down the road. When you have another project come out or something. But I do want to talk about how you got hooked up with Steve Nelson. Can you tell me how you got into playing with him, and what I think maybe one specific question, if you could touch on, would be what the difference was playing with him, again, somebody older, but who wasn't your dad, and was there more pressure from him or from yourself?
Well, yeah. So I kind of have to preface it with I wouldn't have the Steve Nelson gig if I didn't play with Johnny O'Neill first.
Okay, right.
Right. So I got to play with Johnny O'Neill regularly, and I was like in his band for 4 years.
Oh wow!
Right.
Yes.
And then I would play on and off again after that. So like around 7 years, I was regularly with him, and Johnny was a complete opposite of my dad. Right.
He's got a unique thing too with his time feel.
Extremely, the time is unbelievable. But all three of them, my dad, Johnny, and Steve, all have the most incredible time feel for different reasons. But with Johnny, it's like I had to learn how to play with a trio, right? A trio and a singer, because he sings also.
Oh,
right?
yeah, right.
And someone, his time, he's from Detroit, right? So he wants more of a closed, and he's a big fan of Oscar Peterson, obviously, and Monk and Errol Garner, and what have you, and then his own thing. So at time feel from Detroit, he wants a real closed on the ride cymbal and hi-hat. He wants a real closed beat and real tight, but still be able to put the stank on the left hand and right foot when you need to. Because sometimes we'll play something extremely slow, and then sometimes we'll play something really popping or something really fast. We play breakneck tempos sometimes, and he was always just like the ultimate, because we never rehearsed once. I never rehearsed one time with Johnny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so everything was learned on the bandstand. Ultimate hot seat.
Yeah, trial
experience.
by fire, yeah.
Trial by fire, because you'll remember it. You're going to remember the tune.
Oh, yeah.
When you're embarrassed on stage, right? So you won't forget it the next time. Whereas if you rehearse, it's like, all right, cool, I got it, right? No. So I had to learn how to play in a trio, how to play tight, how to keep space, and most of all, how to listen, really listen, right? Because he would do things on purpose just to see if you were listening.
Oh, like harmonically, right? You mean?
Harmonically, mostly, dynamically, mostly also.
Okay, yeah.
He would do the same thing with the audience, where if he thought the audience was talking too much or too loud, he would just play extremely quietly or just lay out. Yeah. And you had to follow him. You couldn't just keep playing.
That's
right?
a veteran move right there.
He was dynamically all over, and like you really, it was all about listening with him, and you never knew what he was going to do. And it was almost like you had to keep like a shuffle time feel in the ride cymbal and snap the hi-hat. He played with Blakey, so he loves a nice big hi-hat. So that's got to be like, you're almost playing like Moanin' or Blues March on the ride cymbal and hi-hat. Then the left hand and right foot are free, right? They're stretching the beat. So you can't be up there doing like ding, ding, ding. You can't be doing like that real wide kind of thing. He wants it really urgent time feel on the quarter note. So I say all that to, we were playing after Steve Nelson one time at Smoke Jazz Club, and Steve heard me playing with Johnny.
Okay.
And he got my number that way.
Oh, nice.
And I would call Steve as like a mix of Johnny and my dad in a way, because Steve will play so incredibly free, play those tough tempos, right? And it's just the most convicted. He has so much conviction in everything he's playing. I feel like every time I hear him, like, oh, that's how you improvise. I feel like I'm not improvising when I'm around Steve. Like that's a level of improvisation he gets to, where it's just every single moment is the last note he's ever played, right?
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's the standard. That's the level, And so that being said, like he has like that same kind of freedom, and he plays some of the most, he's got these original tunes that you may have heard them we haven't played them maybe in a year, but he's got all these incredible original tunes that are very modern and very abstract. There's some odd meter in there as well. And we haven't had a chance to record it, but it's, some of the most modern, forward-thinking stuff I've ever heard. He plays with Dave Holland.
Yeah, right.
All that. But again, the time feel. We'll play standards like Johnny would, and then we'll also play some of the most out stuff ever, and then we'll play real romantic ballads as well. And then sometimes we're playing up-tempo burnout. It's just like you just never know.
Yeah.
But it's like he's kind of like in the middle of my dad and Johnny in a way.
No, interesting. Yeah. Is there something that you took away from all of your experience in the clubs throughout your teens that have either influenced what you for sure want to do or don't want to do with your own career and how you move through the music business? Because you've seen a lot. I'm sure you've seen it all.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and we didn't even talk about you playing with Wynton, right? Who's
a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. You've talked about that on some other podcasts too. So I'll link to.
That's usually the first question. Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. Like I hope you're not offended. I didn't ask about that.
No. I'm saying that in a way like, oh wow, great. I've done something other than Winton.
Okay.
This is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just link to some of your other interviews where you have talked about that. And it's of course very cool, and I'm impressed and all that. But yeah, so I'm curious what you took away from all your experience in your teens and early 20s that you're trying to move towards or away from as you are forging your own path now as a leader.
Man, it's honestly. I hope I get to listen back to this in 10 years, and this is gonna be a funny thing to look back on. But yeah, I'm at a bit of a crossroads right now, honestly, because it's like when I was a teenager, all I ever wanted to do was tour and be in the clubs and be playing music and, you know, doing the whole thing and partying and having a great time and recording, being famous, making history, all that stuff. And I've been in bars since I was, 8 years old,
Yeah.
And seeing all this stuff. I've just been around it my whole life. And I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, do I really want to be in the clubs like this and into my 70s or whatever, And also there's such a ceiling with the jazz clubs financially. I'm just being real at this point, right? There's only so much they can pay you, and there's only so much they want to pay you. Same with touring, honestly. Unless you're at and I'm sure if you were to speak to some of these more famous artists, they'll tell you the same. It's really hard work, man. It's really hard work to do all the traveling and playing, and the effect it has on your body between the jet lag, the just sitting in a plane for 12 hours, the horrible food, the lack of sleep and stuff like that. And, and then the rising cost of everything, I'm trying to figure out. And then it also has an effect on your relationships too, because you're just, I work every night until 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Who wants to deal with that, right? So it's like, I'm definitely coming to a crossroads at this point about being in bars all the time, always trading time for money. You know what I mean? Because I only make money if I'm there playing music at the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're providing the party, and it's kind of hard to be the party every night, right? So I'm kind of getting into this mode of all right, what's another way I can kind of make a living, but yet still get to be creative and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very tough. And at the same time, you kind of have to be in the clubs to keep your chops up.
Yeah.
To be able to play.
Right.
There's no getting around it. There's just no getting around it. You have to be playing. And you don't want to be playing only brunch gigs, right? So it's just the way it goes, right? It's a life of that. It's funny, during COVID, I was practicing more than I ever had in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they finally opened things up, I got on stage and couldn't play the simplest thing ever because I'm pretty sure it was with Ahu to Sherry, and he was just playing normal stuff at me, and I had been so fermented in my own way of thinking and my own practicing that one little thing that someone else played completely threw me out of my comfort zone.
Oh, interesting.
Because I hadn't been playing with anybody.
Yeah.
No one had been throwing ideas at me, no matter how simple. It was all just my own ideas all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's paramount that you have to play with people. I don't care how much you practice. I mean, I hear it all the time, honestly, at jam sessions where it's just like, oh, clearly it's almost worse when the drummer practices a lot. Because he's going to be only in his own world, only playing the stuff he knows how to play, not listening to anybody else, and just not playing musically at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's almost better when a guy can't really play that much because he's listening to everybody a lot more. And he's just trying to keep a good groove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what, when I first moved, so basically I went to Berkeley for a semester, right? At 19. Looked at what I was going to owe. I was like, yeah, I don't want to owe $100,000 as a jazz musician. And this was in 2009, right?
Yeah.
And that's what my bill would have been if I had graduated there. So I said, screw that. My parents moved back into New York City. They got a spare bedroom. My dad didn't go to college. So I'm just going to try this the old school way. I want to play music. So I moved in with them, sharing a bunk bed with my brother because he also dropped out.
Okay.
And didn't have a drum set. So, or at least a space to play it. So I went out every night to jam sessions, just play. I'd play on the pad during the day, and I would just go out every night to the jam sessions to sit in every single night that I possibly could. I would busk during the day with break dancers and any random horn player that would let me play with them at that time because I was pretty sad, but just playing. I supercharged whatever progress I was going to make by just playing with people as much as humanly possible, for better, for worse.
Yeah.
Probably should have shed more. but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. You're such a musical player. I mean,
yeah,
I can tell. I mean, it's one of the first notes I wrote down about you was how good of a listener you are. And I even wrote this down, so many drummers check out during bass solos, but you are listening hard and your comping is incredible with bass solos.
You got to listen the most during the bass solo because it's like you got to play really quiet in order to hear them.
Yep.
And it's like, I also, this is something I learned from everybody I play with, especially Johnny. It's like, he's such an entertainer and he's so concerned with how appearance of things and just the way his show's supposed to go. So if I'm on stage less than a foot away from the bass player and he's playing his solo and I'm a foot away from him and I look bored, how's that going to translate to the rest of the audience?
Yeah, for sure.
So when the bass player is taking a solo, even if I'm not into it, I'm going to concentrate and at least appear visually to be interested. So we're all in it together. Yeah. And that's another thing I do in general, because I'll be honest, I have a tendency to veer off sometimes, but I will stare at the back of the soloist's head during his entire solo so that my concentration doesn't veer. I try to, because I feel like if I visually concentrate, I'm keyed in on that person. I'm looking at the back of their head. I'm not looking at my ride cymbal. I'm not concerned with everything I'm doing. I'm looking at them the entire time just to keep my concentration as much as humanly possible to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Because as soon as I start looking at my ride cymbal a little too much, now I'm only concerned with myself. My head's turned this way. My ears are turned. Everything's, yes, you want your ride cymbal to be killing. But I feel like if I'm here, I can see the piano player, I can see the bass player, I can see the soloist, and I'm staring at the back of their head. Even if I'm just like thinking, wow, they got a bald spot. Like, at least I'm still keyed in on everything on that person, right? Mm-hmm. So much more keyed in than if I'm just like, if I'm doing this, right? My head turned to the left, looking down at the floor, like so many people do.
Yeah, right.
Again, if I'm looking at the bass player and I'm like, visually, everything is, I'm focusing all my energy towards that person, then the audience is going to be like, oh, wow, this bass player must be doing something really great if the drummer is really keyed in on it. Yeah. So many people in the jazz world don't think about how important presentation is and how you look on stage. Yeah. I hate to say it, but the compliment I get the most I've gotten over the years, like, oh man, I love how much you smile when you're on stage.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. But I'm having a good time. But that's what the audience is. They're looking at you.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, unless it's like a real jazz audience, they don't know when the tune. They know when the tune started and when it ended. They don't know these old songs.
Right.
It's all melodic. There's no words. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So they're just feeding off of your energy within it.
Yeah.
So you got to try and just give as much as you possibly can.
Well, and you're fortunate to play with some incredible musicians that keep you engaged too. I mean, that's a huge part of it. And let's switch gears and talk about your music for just a little bit. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I do want to talk about your most recent album. I'll link to both of your albums, of course. They're both great, but your most recent album, Triptych L'Esprit, man, I've been listening to that a lot. I've probably listened to it 100 times in the last month or so. It's just the only way I can prep for these interviews is just like steep myself in. So every night when I go to bed, it's been in my headphones. And so like the first few tunes like are in my head and then I kind of fall asleep, so.
Oh man.
But just gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous stuff. And I'm also going to link to the show you did at Sam First out in LA.
Yeah, please do. That was a good one.
Oh my gosh, killing. Yeah. And Andrew Renfro on guitar. Yeah. Mind blowing. Yeah, you guys, you all sounded so good. That was such a cool gig.
Yeah, that was like a reunion gig.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I went to Juilliard with both Renfro and Braxton, and they had just moved out to LA at that time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious about, there's so many different vibes on the album, right? And you get the drum interludes. I'm assuming those are all Haitian rhythms or Haitian inspired rhythms. And
let's call it Haitian inspired for sure.
Okay.
I've aged out of those, but
okay, yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to get to with that, because so many drummers, myself included, learned some of these Afro-Caribbean beats and Brazilian rhythms, and I'll just speak for myself. I get stuck with there's a right way to play it, and you're trying to play the pattern. If the pattern varies a little bit, I get in my head. I'm like, oh, that's
Of course.
not legit, and I got to fix that, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of curious how you approach those rhythms, and as you just said, keeping them Haitian inspired without getting too, obsessive about
Yeah.
them.
So basically, I've grown up. My dad. So my dad played with Taboo Combo. That was like his original gig, and they're like kind of like probably. I mean, they're like top 5 most famous Haitian bands
Okay,
ever.
okay, yeah, and I'll just
And
say I'm naive
no,
to that world,
check them out.
so I will check them out. Yeah.
Check them out. I'm going to see them next Friday. I'm really excited. But my mom is Haitian, and so I just grew up in a half Haitian household, and she has 6 sisters, so there's always some type of get together, party, gathering, babysitting, some type. I've always been around what's called compa. That kind of that's like Haitian pop music, basically.
Okay.
That's like the main dance music. And then so you've got that side, and that's influenced by the traditional rhythms, which come out of the Vodou religion, or voodoo, as people call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's all these different rhythms for different spirits and religious figures. The same way like Santeria, or, they always do like stuff for like a saint, right? It's the same in Vodou, right? There's Papa Legba, for instance, is one of them, and there's a specific rhythm for that. And you kind of have to play it with dancers, right? That's what I'm discovering. I went down to Haiti to visit for the first time back in 2017, and I got to hear all this stuff live, right? I was in Gonaïve and got to hear like live Haitian people playing Haitian music in the street.
Amazing.
Right? And I was like, oh, okay. And they were playing this style called Rara. And I was like, oh, this is what I have to do. Because I've been trying to learn salsa and Brazilian music and stuff. And it's like, I'm not Cuban. I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm not Colombian. I'm Haitian. And then once I heard this, I was like, oh, this is what I have to do. I have to include this in my life somehow, some way. And yeah, it's completely changed my life. But the approach I've taken to it, to circle back to more of a heady way of talking about it, anytime I would say you listen to like an African music or an Afro-Caribbean music or a South American music, to me, it seems like you have to kind of throw out the notion of drums and think of the drums as almost like as melody instruments. Right? So you want to concentrate on the melody of the hand drums. In Cuban music, it's the conga. In Haitian music, they call it tambu. And there's all these different, the instrument that looks like a conga is called tambu. And there's all these different roles that these drums play. Because, before electricity, it was just drums and voice, maybe a guitar.
Yeah.
Only, and if you're on an island, you're not pushing a piano around. And that thing is not staying in tune, right?
Right.
So the drums is the whole band. So there's a guy who's playing a low drum. He's the bass player. And then there's 3 other types of hand drums. There's a high rhythm, either on some type of shaker or whatever you want to call it, some type of, Haitian, in a lot of a certain style of Vodou Haitian drumming configuration, they would call that the kata. But it's one guy with 2 sticks playing on a high drum. He's not even playing on a rim or anything. He's playing on a high drum.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it becomes this collective sound of 4 hand drums all playing at the same time, doing things with calls and stuff like that. So as someone like myself, I realized like, oh, these are melodies that these drums are playing. It's not the rhythms. It's the rhythms, obviously, but it's also the melodies, because the melodies dictate where you get to fit in your other things. So like if I'm playing, for instance, and I got to study on and off with 2 great Haitian drummers, one being Tiga Jean-Baptiste, whose father was a big pioneer in bringing back the traditional drums and Vodou music, roots music movement in Haiti that happened in like the 70s throughout up until now.
Oh, wow.
Because before that, there was a dictatorship under Duvalier, Papa Doc and Baby Doc, where one Papa Doc was low-key using voodoo to kind of scare the people into submission. And also it was, this classic story of colonization where missionaries go in and brainwash the people and tell them they have to be Christian, right?
Right.
And so Vodou got a really bad reputation because of that. And so the culture kind of went away for a while. And Tiga's dad is one of those people who part of the movement that brought it back. So I've been getting to study with him. And again, it would just be, I'd have a conga drum. he'd have a conga drum, and I'd had to just be able to fill. He was playing these super basic rudimental melodies of these rhythms, and I just had to be able to fit in. So if we're playing a yambalu, right, 6/8, the melody. If we start here, 1, 2, and don't ding, 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 don't ding. That's a basic. That's one basic melody. So I have to be able to play. I can't mess with that. Don't ding, don't ding, don't ding, don't ding. I have to be able to get in there. So like I have to fit in that note, or before or after.
Yeah.
But you can't mess up don't ding, don't ding. So that's a way to think about it. So if you're listening to basic Montuno or something in Cuban music, that slap. So if you have the bass, right? That don don dun dun. You can't just put that anywhere. It's got to be on the right side. But that's the melody, and everyone bases off of that. And that's like the funk of that music, and obviously clave and all that. But just the very basic, just the foundational. You got to find what is the most rudimentary foundational part of this music, of this rhythm, right? If I'm listening to Haitian music, it's going to be tit 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 tit, right? For the most part, most of the rhythms are going to be somewhere in that rhythm, right? So everything I play can't mess that up, right? Or I got to start thinking that. But if I'm being tit 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 tit, what's the rhythm that's beneath that, right? I would say boom, don, don, don. Right? It's not going to be. Now we're swinging, right? Right? No. So that's the very first thing I do. Whenever I hear a groove I've never heard, is it on the downbeat or is it on the up? So I'm playing jazz, I'm thinking one ding ding ding, not ding 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 ding. No, right? So that's the very first thing you got to do, is just like, which side of where's the groove? Where's the feeling of this? Is it on the down or is it on the up, right? And then as you get hipper, then you can put ups wherever you want, right? But it always has to have that foundation of that. All right, so I got the first level, I know it's down. Then the next one is that. Okay, I got that. Then I got the melody, which is, again, going to come from a hand drum. Now, where's the little spots that I can add my expression between that and the melody? So if we were doing like a basic compa or whatever, or just a basic 4/4 rhythm, so do 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 do. So I got to make sure I fit everything in between and that melody. And really it's do-do, 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 do-do-do-do-do, right? Don't. Now, and a really popular one to get in the weeds of this, right? Because I'm going, there's space in between that, right? So those are the little things you start to find, right? And then obviously you're just listening. You got to listen a ton.
Yeah, of course.
And just see what the relationship with it is. And listening passively, listening actively, listening as a student, listening as a fan, listening as a little kid, listening as an adult. And I don't mean like having to be a kid. I mean like listening with a child's mind. Yeah. Childlike energy to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. The curiosity.
Listening to it, yeah, listening to it after a couple drinks, listening to it in the morning, listening to it when you're working out, like just always being in it, going out and watching people dance to it. Even if you can't dance, you should be going to see other people dance, or at least looking up videos of people dancing. Like, you got to see the way people move to it also.
Did you get into playing hand percussion too then?
I've been doing a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So when my other teacher is Marcus Schwartz, who's pretty sure he's American, but he went down to Haiti as a completely non-Haitian person, unrelated to it, but just became obsessed. And he has an interesting perspective on it because he's similar to me, like someone coming to it not having grown up with it as much. So he's able to give me a different perspective, whereas Tiga is like, yo, we're just playing. And we're just going to play and play and play until you get it. And we're just going to... But Marcus is able to be like, no, this is from this part of the island, and this is this rhythm, and this is... and like he's able to break down a lot of stuff in more of a heady way. So I'm getting like two sides of the coin to it, you know, with those guys.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, you just mentioned two sides of the coin. I heard that you and Jason Brown were working on a book with a similar name, no?
Yeah, I guess we were, but we were doing that was, man, I need to get back into that type of thing. But we were doing a live stream every Tuesday during COVID.
Right.
Where we would just go back and forth. And that was talk about pressure. Can't show up not having shed anything when you're dealing with Jason Brown.
Yeah, no kidding.
But we were gonna write a book on just what we were into. Jason was a really nice guy. He would always invite me over to his house to practice to shed together. But it would really just be a lesson for me. I would just get to just shed along with what he was doing at the time. And that man is like the ultimate practicer, the ultimate technician, the ultimate modern straight ahead jazz drummer, man. He's a big brother of mine, hero of mine for sure.
Amazing.
But yeah, we never really got it together to write that book. But I guess I'll write my side of the coin. That's the thing I was talking about earlier in the interview.
Yeah. I hope you do. Is there anything you want to talk about that you're working on currently or promote that people should be checking out or that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently writing music for my next jazz album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I really want to just dig deeper into the more of the what's called casses, which is the drum breaks and drum calls in Haitian music, and just be a little bit more thorough in my arrangements. My second album, my first album, I wrote everybody's part out, and I went real crazy. Everyone had their own specific chart, and I really went crazy on the arranging for that. And I was kind of trying to be, I feel like I was overdoing it, trying to be overly impressive harmonically and stuff like that. And then the second album, I said, you know what, I'm just going to write what I really like. I want to keep every chart to just a grand staff, just the melody and the bass part.
Yeah, okay.
Not even the bass part, just maybe a couple kicks here and there, and just let the musicians, let them be free and let them handle it. So now I think I want to kind of meld a little bit of the two.
Sure.
Yeah, and just up the ante, you know, and like really, because I call my stuff, I say I'm fusing Haitian music with jazz, but I don't think I've gone far enough to really meld them. So I want to dig even deeper with that.
Awesome. I'll look forward to hearing that. I've become an even bigger fan over the last few weeks as I've been.
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I feel like I could keep talking to you for a long time, but we should wrap it up here. Question I've been asking everybody lately, and I think I gave you a heads up on this, so maybe you've thought about it. What's an album or two that you've listened to in your life more than any other? And I always say this to people too. You know, it doesn't have to be cool, doesn't have to be jazz or Haitian. Just what's been in your ears more than anything else?
Oh, this is always the hardest type of question. Oh man, it has to be just one, right?
One or two. I can't
cheat.
Whatever.
Okay.
You can cheat it a little bit. I'm curious.
Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay.
Oh man, because I get really obsessive about stuff. All right. Parliament Funkadelic, One Up, One Down, John Coltrane.
Yeah.
And the Monk stuff, the period of Monk.
Yeah.
I guess that's like kind of man. That's a tough question.
Okay, but that's good.
But Parliament Funkadelic is I probably put the most hours on them.
Oh, nice. Okay,
honestly.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just leave it there, and maybe we can talk later when you have another project out. But where's the best place that people can follow you? Do you like Instagram, TikTok, your website?
Yeah, Instagram is the best place to see me make a lot of noise and figure out where I'm playing and stuff. If you want to directly support your artists and purchase any music, my website, you can do that. Or on Bandcamp or whatever. Right. But then the stuff is streaming everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Instagram, I'm like addicted to Instagram, so I'm always on there.
Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, and I'll look forward to following your career and talking again in the future.
All right, thanks, Craig. This was really fun.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please subscribe on your platform of choice and share it with a friend. You can find the show and a blog at practicingdrummer.com or on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as Practicing Drummer.